Hello everyone, and welcome back to my scale modelling channel. Like I say, so today's video I'm just going to do a little bit of an update on my Sopwith Camel. I've not worked on it for, well, until this weekend. I've not worked on it for around about 6 months, and it's just one of the builds that kind of got pushed to one of the side. But I want to say I just had a really enjoyable couple of days was working on it. So I want to kind of show you a little bit of the process and the update. Just kind of let you know exactly where I am with the build. So as far as the instructions go, I'm actually up to page 48, and this is on 256 pages, I think, so it's still quite a long way to go. What I've done, I've just kind of printed it out in 10 pages at a time, and I just find it a little bit more manageable just to work through a section at 10 pages at a time. Okay, so when you get to stage 50 or page 50, you should be looking like this, and like I say, so I want to talk you through a little bit of the things that I've actually changed on mine that you might actually, if you're up to page 50, that you might find a little bit different. Okay, so the first thing is, mine's this front part of the engine section. I've not actually glued mine down yet, and I'll talk you through one of the reasons why I've done that in a minute. So like I say, recently just cut this off the jig. Like I say, so if you watch the first 3 or 4 parts, when you first assemble this, it's assembled on the jig, and you kind of put all the tail parts to get all the tail iron in, and then you kind of cut this off. So to cutting this off, all I used to at the start, I just used my little razor saw and just cut out these 3 main sections at the front, and then on this part, all I did, I just cut them off with the side cutters. Quite easy to cut. Yeah, so like I say, if you're adding this part to this on this jig, put that in now so you can kind of see how it would be on the jig. And when that's all lined up properly, then you kind of, once this front part of the engine's pushed up against that little spacer, and then you kind of glue it in place. But like I say, a little bit later on in the build, when we start to add these side panels, I'm a bit concerned that it wouldn't quite, I mean, once you've got like this 2 side panels, this top, you've got bottom, and then that part, I'm a bit concerned that it probably wouldn't be able to kind of hit the part straight away. So the reason is, when we get this side panel in there, and then that's kind of got to be nice and flush and level down that edge. I was concerned that wouldn't quite line up quite how it should do. Like I say, even though the jig's fine, I thought it'd be easy to kind of, once I kind of got that level and lined up, and then I can kind of exactly glue that in place, so I know I'm kind of going to hit that nice flush end. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't do that. And also it makes it a little bit top heavy as well. So like I say, whatever parts you can kind of leave off until right at the last minute, until you actually need to, that's makes it a lot easier. So same again, this part, this is like the engine on the main fuel tanks, and this would have been glued in quite a while ago, and that sits behind the pilot seat, and that sits us there. And it just sits in nice and happy there. Well, the trouble is, same again, it's just extra weight that's not needed until we bring this top engine, this top cockpit cover in, that kind of covers all this top section and kind of covers the top of the fuel tank. It's not really needed to be glued in place. So like I say, I left that out as well. Just because this is just a lot easier to handle without all this extra weight on. Okay, so I've added all this internal cockpit detail, not quite nice. This is all hand painted. Like I say, the chair, all I did with that is I just painted it with a nice, just a Tamiya flat brown first. And then once that was nice and dry, I just got some of this Tamiya wooden deck tan, and I just dry brush that. So like I said, the technique is just you dip your brush in the paint, obviously take off a lot of the paint on the kitchen towel, and then just slowly dry brush over the seat. Like I say, if you overdo it and it doesn't look quite right, just paint it brown again, and then just repeat that technique. And then just add this little seat belt. It's not the greatest seat belt in the world because it's a metal seat belt, so I kind of had to do the best job I could do with that. And then just had to kind of hand paint all these little instrument panels, but they were really nice. As you can see now, it starts to add quite a bit of detail this cockpit. So another thing I've added, I actually added a couple more of these like ribs down the side of the cockpit, and then this wooden like latticing work kind of just filled in there, and that was a little bit tricky. Like I say, everything's kind of tricky on these smaller builds because it's difficult to try and get it clamped, to get the little pegs in all the time, so it's quite difficult to get them into these sections and kind of hold them on them there. So like I say, but it's just a perseverance, and it finally paid off. So that's them. Okay, so I've added all these sections as well, like this wanted wood framing as well. And same again, one of the biggest disappointments that I'm unhappy about with this kit is the burnt laser ends, where obviously they were laser cut. So what I've done quite a bit myself is actually, where I can, I've actually overlapped some of these sections with this little veneer that we get with the wood with the kit. This is 0.5mm by 3mm. So all I've done is kind of wherever I can, I've just kind of filled in some of these burnt ends with some of this veneer. And I think, like I say, there's a lot to do, and like I say, so it's a bit of an extra option, like I say, that people can kind of do if you want to. Like I say, I think what the options in the kit is to paint them, and I've actually painted a few of them, but I don't really want to paint it. So like I say, I'm just going to spend a bit of time and just fill in these faces with just some veneer. As you can tell, it just looks a lot better than actually just painting them. And that's very simple. All you have to do is a little bit of glue to the face and then stick them onto the front. And did these bottom sections as well, even though you're never going to see it. I just think it looks better. Like I say, so you can see two side by side, where obviously I veneered all this tail section. So then there's a part there that once that's veneered, that's just going to fill in like that as well. Like I say, that's just my thinking behind that. I just think it looks better. A lot more work. It's going to add a ton of work, but at the end of the day, I only want to build this one, so I'm just going to do it that way. Okay, so I want to show you these two. I think they're both fuel tanks. I think one's probably a larger fuel tank, one's probably a smaller one, and they fit. Like I said before, they kind of fit. One just behind the pilot's seat, and another one slightly higher, and then that fits just above that. So like I said, that starts to really show some detail off. You see that one later on in the build because that's not closed in, but you don't actually see that one, which is a bit disappointing. But what I did with these ones, in actually the build, they come with obviously the die-cast part, so they kind of come just looking like that. So what I decided to do is actually, in the instructions it tells you to paint this silver, and like I say, wherever I can, I prefer to hand paint things if possible. I just like the technique of hand painting. I obviously use my airbrush when I have to on larger sections, like I said, when these all need painting, the red, and this nose cone all needs painting red as well. I'll airbrush them, but like I say, if I can get away with hand painting, I always do. But when I painted this with silver is always one of the most difficult things to paint. It's very difficult to try and get it to quite look right. So once I painted that and fitted it, I thought it looked okay. But what I decided to do with the next fuel tank is I thought I'd just try a different technique. And what I've actually done is just taking my little cordless USB drill. This is one of the best things I've ever had. I use it for everything. There is actually a slightly powerful model that I will actually get. It's got a bit more RPM on it, but this, I found this brilliant. I use it for everything. But what I decided to do is just fitted it with the wire wall attachment on the end. And what I do now is just taking these plain die-cast parts, and I've just been buffing them. So all I'm doing is just buffing the part. And you can clearly see where I've buffed that section. So I just actually think, like I say, I can't do it with this because this needs painting, but I just use this part just to show you. So I've actually got one that's painted and one that's buffed, and I actually really prefer, I'm going to put them side by side. This is the buffed one and that's the painted one, and I actually just think the buff metal just looks 100 times better than the painted one. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably a little bit later on, before I glue it into place, I'll actually go back with this tool and buff all the paint off this. Like I say, so I don't know if people agree with me, but yeah, that's just the buff part. And like I said, I just thought I'd just give it a try, and like I say, you can see how really nice and buffed it looks on the edge. Okay, so like I say, a little bit later on, they're going to get glued just into this section there. That's going to get glued just in there. Like I say, really disappointed that you're not going to see that part, because that's it looks really nice. But like I say, just adding these few extra parts, it's already really starting to highlight. Take this back on this frame. Like I say, really starting to highlight just how nice this kit's going to look. Okay, so like I say, I think in the next couple of weeks, like I said, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start adding all these this cockpit detail. I think that's where I am in the build. Like I say, these are all kind of going to line up. Look really nice. We've got like a nice bottom panel and a top panel as well. So like I say, so we're going to really get more interesting in this next couple of weeks. Like I say, I know I've not really been showing, but like I say, when I get onto this cockpit section where I start adding all these panels, I'll switch back to doing some more step-by-step guides, because I really enjoy them. I also need to talk about in a minute, like I say, yeah, there's just some more parts that I've kind of finished off. Like I say, that's another little fuel tank, and that's just been buffed as well. Like I say, I just think they just look so much better buffed up. A couple of little parts, like I said, I'd actually painted that one first before I'd actually realised that I could actually buff that one up. But that one looks okay. That kind of fits just in there somehow between the two, and it kind of protrudes out this little panel. I think it's like some kind of like a little exhaust, so that's going to pop out just through there. So I'll say some more little parts. I've just kind of worked on the rudder. That's the next kind of on the rudder, like the little landing section. So I've kind of buffed that up. So I'm going to leave that buff, and then obviously just this bottom section needs painting. So I think actually that is the next part in the instructions. So that actually just needs this bottom section, a little bit of painting. So that's a nice easy job, and that's going to get stuck. I kind of get stuck in this section through here. Just fit it right. That's just getting fitted and added. Just this, obviously, rudder section, tail section. So that's going to look really nice. And like I said, there's so much to do with this build. Like I say, there's some obviously tensioning wires that are going to cross all this. This page 50 out of 250. But like I say, I'm in between at the minute. I'm waiting for some parts for my the Titanic build. I'm waiting on quite a few aftermarket parts, so that's just going to be until I kind of save up and get all them parts. Obviously, that's probably going to start again in January. So I thought I'd just kind of work on this in the month of December and kind of see how far I kind of get with it. Really tricky. And then these are some more little parts that I've worked on. These are the little the rudder. I think you can kind of, where the pilot would put his feet inside them, and I think you could kind of, I'm not sure if that's how you operate it, maybe some tail run, but like I say, there's people out there that know a lot more than me. So I've glued one side on. I'm just letting that dry, and all I need to do is just glue that next little part on, and they just that was just painted in a nice Vallejo. I think the Vallejo red leather, yeah, so I just painted that in red leather. Same again, that little part of the seat belt as well, that was just painted in Vallejo red leather. Okay, so I want to ask people about this this red people use. I've seen obviously Vallejo vibrant red, and I was going to kind of use this for all this this front part of the plane where obviously it's all red. But like I said, just let me know if anybody else has built this, what kind of colour you might use for this this red, because we get like a colour guide with the kit, but it tells you, like, obviously I'll put it up on the screen so you kind of look at it, but like it says black and it gives you a number, but I've typed in black and that number, and I can't find their paints anywhere that they've asked for, so I've kind of just kind of go on what I thought myself and just try and match it up. That's by like when I was at 8 leather, I like to use Vallejo paints. I find it very good for just hand painting, so I actually use this Vallejo red leather. Okay, so pretty much I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about in this little video. I say I've just set my little spray booth up. That's pretty much how I operate on this. I mean, if it works, it works. And that's just obviously, I mean, I love to use extractor hoods, kitchen hoods, because they give you 100 times more suction than a paint booth. But like I say, it's made a nice cardboard surround, and like I say, if it works, it works. And so I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to kind of show you, just the progress of this this build. I think I've talked through everything that I want to. Like I say, so what I'm going to do, I'll do a little bit more work. Like I say, I'll probably just get that little tail section painted and fitted, and then once I get to a nice stage, I kind of think, oh, I'll do a step-by-step guide for that. I'll do that, or I might even do it in a live build as well. So if you, I mean, I really enjoy live builds. So if I can get away building in a live build that's make it interesting for yourselves, I will do. So anyway, I think that's pretty much everything. I think pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this Sopwith Camel build so far. Like I said, if anybody wants this kit, it's from Artesania Latina. Absolutely brilliant kit. Like I say, only disappointment is I'd be quite happily paid that twice as much for the kit, but probably got some nice laser cut hardwood where we could sand it back, and then it all looks universal and finished. But other than that, that's the only real fault I can find this kit. But like I say, it just means more work, but you can soon like cover it up. And the two tones, so I say you've got to paint on these outsides, so I could paint that, or I could veneer on the outsides. But like I say, I wish I'd probably done that first before I'd actually start fitting the frames, because on this tail section I actually veneered them off before I actually fitted it, and it's a lot easier to veneer them before you actually start building the frame. So I might just have to paint the insides them, just because it could be quite difficult to veneer them sections now it's all complete. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will get some more step-by-step guides out. I mean, I don't know if anybody's noticed, I've just recently removed all my montage videos off my channel, because even though they were doing really well, it was a bit of like a double-edged sword, where there was the only videos getting promoted. All my step-by-step guides were just getting kind of pushed to the side, and nobody really seemed to be, YouTube weren't really interested in pushing them out. But it's a shame for me, because that's what I really enjoyed the most. So anyway, I've been talking for a good 19 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Like I say, if you really enjoyed these step-by-step guides, just let me know. Because like I say, it's been a difficult year where I've been kind of trying to figure out what people want to watch. They want to watch step-by-step guides, they want to watch montages. So I've found it really difficult to kind of know what to do. But I know there is people that love one, and I know there's people that love the other. So yeah, that's the state of play at the minute. So anyway, you've all been brilliant. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care, everyone.